Good morning, everyone. Culture of currency here. A silver coin, just 1 ounce of fine metal, struck by the Perth Mint, that grand old institution down under, celebrating its 125th anniversary. A simple dollar authorized by the Crown, carrying the effigy of King Charles III. Now, if that's all you'd know, you'd say, well, it's a nice collectible, a limited mintage of just 30,000 worldwide, a fine piece of investment silver. And you'd be right. But, oh my friends, there is a story here, a history lesson stamped right into the precious metal itself. Because this 2025 Australian proclamation coin, yes, that's right, as you see here, isn't just about the here and now. It's about 225 years ago. It's about a global empire, a currency crisis, and the birth of a nation's identity. It's about a coin with two sides. The reverse of this new Perth Mint coin is a direct, reverent salute to the Spanish pillar dollar. A coin so important, so universal, it was known across the world as a peso, or a piece of eight. Many consider it the world's first global currency. But look closer at the design and you'll see those two magnificent columns right here, the Pillars of Hercules. They represent the gates of the Mediterranean, the edge of the known world. Draped around those pillars is a banner spiraling with two Latin promises, pulse and ultra, which means more beyond, a declaration that the world did not end at the Straits of Gibraltar, but a new world awaited. And at the center of this coin, right here, a crown and two hemispheres, the old world and the new, united under the inscription, Utraque unum, both are one. Now listen to this very S-shaped configuration of the spiraling banner, as you see, it makes kind of an S right here, is believed to be the origin of the dollar sign we use every single day. That mighty US dollar traced back to the Pillars of Hercules in that Spanish piece of eight. And that, my friend, is an amazing amount of cultural significance for the world. But for Australia, the significance is far more personal. Imagine the colony of New South Wales in the year 1800, a fledgling settlement thousands of miles from the motherland. They had a problem, no currency, and coins that made it to the remote colony quickly sailed right back out with traders. Their governor, a man named Philip Gidley King, saw this crisis, so he issued the 1800 proclamation, effectively recognizing the Spanish pillar dollar, the piece of eight, as legal tender. He gave the globe's currency struck in Mexico City, as you see right here with the Banco Moneda mint mark, a home in the sunburnt country of Australia. Later, in 1813, the governor, Lachlan Macquarie, took that same Spanish silver and performed a remarkable, almost desperate act of genius. He hired a convict to cut the center out of those pieces of eight. The outer ring became the holy dollar, and the center became the dump. By creating two new coins and giving them both a new higher value, he locked the currency into the colony. He stopped the silver from leaving. This act, the creation of the holy dollar and the dump, was the first currency ever minted in Australia. It secured the economic future of the nation. When you hold this coin, the 2025 proclamation coin, struck in, of course, 1 ounce of 4/9 fine silver, you aren't just holding a collectible with the ornamental MO, Banco Moneda mint mark, honoring the original Mexico City origin. You're holding a piece of history that links 3 continents, Europe, the Americas, and Australia. You're holding the legacy of the Pillars of Hercules, you're holding the origins of the dollar sign, and you're holding the anniversary of the act that gave Australia its very first indigenous currency. A powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest stories are found not on a page, but on a piece of silver struck by the Perth Mint. Now that you've seen the significance of this advancement of humanity in this coin, we can place it on our 60-point scale to see if it's right for your collection. When we look at the obverse, we're met with what's becoming a classic effigy of King Charles by Dan Thorne. It is a classic look, and given the history of the original, it's actually notable to have a monarch on the obverse. And though many times I like elements to be carried over on both sides, this coin needs to follow that tradition. It is well executed, as has become tradition at Perth Mint, and scores a 10. Now we move to the reverse. We are met with the stunning iconography. The coin's reverse design faithfully reproduces the iconic Spanish pillar dollar, the original piece of 8 or peso. At its center, beneath the motto Utraque Unum, which is both are one, the Spanish crown unites the old and the new worlds. It's symbolized by two hemispheres. This central motif is flanked by the pillars of Hercules, draped in banners, inscribed with Puls Ultra, more beyond. A design whose swirling banners are famously thought, as we talked about, to be the origins of that dollar sign right here. The design is completed with the MO mint mark, a unique nod to the original coin's Mexico City origin, and the year 2025, which is obviously the mint date. It is a unique balance to have a new coin that feels as if it has been passed down for generations, and yet here we are. Such a stunning piece, and it scores a 10. Now we travel to mintage. This coin, as mentioned earlier, is limited to just 30,000, which is a stunning number, and is not so low that you cannot get your hands on one, but it is not so high that you feel like you are not holding on to something unique. I know at the filming of this video, they were still at sale on APMEX where I bought mine, so if you feel so moved, it might be a place you go to get yours. In fact, use this QR code, it's my affiliate link. Mintage scores an 8. Next up is cultural significance. A nation is built not just on land and law, but on symbols. And few symbols are more fundamental to a nation than the ones on coins in your pocket. Today, we look at Australia, the vast continent, a thriving modern nation. But go back 225 years to the colony of New South Wales, and it was a different world, a desperate world. It was a giant prison struggling to survive, and it had problems so basic, so crippling, it threatened the very idea of order. They had no money. The British shilling, the Dutch guilder, and the Indian rupee would fly into Sydney Harbor with visiting ships, but they wouldn't stay. They were used to buy the few precious goods the colonists had, and then they were immediately sold right back with traders. What was left? Barter, promissory notes that were often worthless, and famously, rum. Yes, rum became the currency. The officers of New South Wales Corps, the so-called Rum Corps, controlled the flow, and with it, the power. If you wanted to build a society, if you wanted a stable economy, you had to get rid of the rum and create a foundation on gold and silver. This is where, like we talked about, Governor Philip Gidley King came back in the year 1800, and he basically could grant legitimacy by his currency proclamation of 1800, which we talked about. The first step in a long road from a starving penal colony to a self-sufficient, economically viable nation. It was the moment that Australia took control of its own monetary destiny, and the Spanish pillar dollar, the coin of the world, became the proclamation dollar, the bedrock of Australian numismatics. That is cultural significance. It scores a 10, bringing us to collectability. We know this is a Perth Mint coin. We know it has giant significance for all historians and Australians. We also know that this is not a kookaburra, but it should note that it has been widely sought after, which is why on Numista, an objective numismatic website, it already has this valued at $79 as of the filming of this video. I find it to be highly collectible, but not a get-it-or-else coin, so I scored an 8, bringing us to uniqueness. This is very famous numismatic iconography, and being the case, we have seen occasional bullion echoes such as this 2005 Cook Islands coin that is almost a spitting image of the reverse. This being Australia, it seems that it is the best one to get given historic provenance. I scored a 9, bringing it to our final thought and score. This amazing pillar dollar is proclaimed elite, scoring a 55 out of 60. It is no real weakness and is a coin suitable for every collection, and honestly, unless you are just stacking for weight, It's one you should consider as it is robust in design, execution, and most importantly, telling another chapter of the human experience. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.